Willkommen in einem anderen Fragens-Video. Welcome to another exciting video, in this case episode 20 of my game design series of videos. In this video I'll be providing a brief overview of aerial warfare rules. As with my naval videos, to a large extent this video is a placeholder and we'll start with only a brief overview of air combat rules that I'm aware of. I have to admit that I have actually gamed Cold War air warfare a reasonable amount back in the 1990s, but mainly in a board game format. I used to play the SPI Air War for the most part, which was normally a one aircraft against another aircraft game system and was incredibly complex. In all the rules, or in most of the rules in this list, each aircraft figure represents one real aircraft figure. There's no attempt to scale the figure, which means it'll be difficult to refight the larger World War II bomber battles, such as over Germany in 1944, assuming that's what you wish. However, what I've discovered is most people that wish to look at aerial warfare, they're only really talking about possibly 5 aircraft versus 5 aircraft at the most, so that shouldn't prove to be an issue. As with my naval videos, I'm not going to attempt to analyse the game system or the history of the rules. Instead, I'll simply list all the rules that I am aware of. When Air War came out, I really got into it and studied it to a large extent. I loved the game and spent endless hours manoeuvring my MiG-23 against NATO aircraft. But I would find it hard to recommend these rules to anyone. These rules are complex and expended a huge amount of time and effort to learn. And when you play a game commanding more than one aircraft, it's a real struggle, if not impossible. The other issue is it would be hard to adapt to figures. As aircraft move up as many hexes as they move left, right, forward and to the rear, you'd need to track the height carefully with markers. But I must admit, it is possible. You can download the rules from the www.spigames.net site if you really feel adventurous. Axis and Allies Air Force Miniatures is a fast, action-packed game of World War II air combat. You take the stick of one or more of history's most famous warplanes, taking on your opponents in wild dogfights. Victory goes to the player who gets the most out of his or her plane, or sometimes to the player who lands the first lucky shot. These look like they're they're very viable as they look simple, are designed for figures, and seem to be reasonably easy to learn, play, and have a game in a reasonable period of time. World War II aerial combat is a set of rules designed by the original designers as a set of simple aerial combat rules between large formations of bombers, escorts, and interceptors to be played in a reasonable time period. These rules have been designed to be very pleasant to play and at the same time to give a feeling of what it was like in the air war in World War II, particularly the bomber campaigns. The main focus is on depicting the attacks on big boxes of American heavy bombers, but we think that with little adjustment the rules may be played for other periods like the Battle of England, Battle of Italy, Malta, etc. These rules would be most likely my second choice, only because they seem to be mainly designed around the bomber campaign. One interesting aspect is it looks like you can command several aircraft using these rules with ease. Wing Leader is a board game which could be adapted to figure gaming. They are well designed, easy to learn and quick to play. The big issue with these rules are that they are mainly a board game, similar to Air War, so some effort would be required to convert to figure gaming. I can see a number of ways to do this, but the players will need to put some effort into it. Besides that, they look rather good, as well as being free. Dogfight is a set of freely available variant rules for use with the counters and data cards from the GMT World War II air combat game Wing Leader, allowing a greater focus on the fighting in the imminent vicinity of bombers. It has evolved greatly since its first appearance in 2017 and now consists of 3 editions: Dogfight Light, which retains the generic simplicity of the first version; Dogfight Deluxe, which has a more sophisticated and physically accurate system, which differentiates between all the many aircraft types; and Dogfight Full Circle, which uses shorter turns and replaces the 3D enhanced side-scrolling perspective of the other 2 editions with a full 3D 360 degree top-down viewpoint. I like Philip Sabin's rules, so I had high expectations of these rules. However, when I downloaded them, I discovered I need to buy other rules to play them. My interest in air combat at this point in time was not great enough for me to go down that path, so I cannot be certain how these rules actually play. Apart from my experience with Air War, which was primarily board gaming, I have not used aircraft in a pure aircraft versus aircraft figure game. Many microset armors sets of rules do offer gamers the option of conducting a stylized form of aerial combat, and I certainly did exercise or play those sort of games quite a bit. The most complex such system is the system used in Core Commander, which goes into an amazing amount of detail. However, there is no dogfighting, simply players allocating aircraft, and as the ranges reduce, firing different weapon systems. In Core Commander, you start with long-range missiles, then medium-range missiles, and finally guns, for example. Other rules such as LWRS, Bewegunskrieg and Neue Schwerpunkt have simpler rules, but nonetheless complete rules which allow you to conduct simple air-to-air combat, ground-to-air combat, and then air-to-ground combat. I will almost certainly come back to this video and update it once I give air warfare games a little bit more of a shot, but at the moment I have no comments concerning game system. I lack the experience of enough rules to provide a reasonable analysis, although I could certainly provide a fairly detailed analysis of air war for whatever good that may be. And so we conclude episode 20 of my video on game system design, which in this case provides an overview of air combat figure gaming rules. Alle guten Dinge kommen zu einem Ende.